Hi everyone, Melanie here, attempting to answer some of the questions that we've had about one of our very, very popular fairy tale wedding cakes. The name of the cake is Once Upon a Time, and of course here I have my little handy dandy picture. Hopefully you can see that pretty well here. Let me make sure I got it straight for you. If you can't see the detail here, which of course I'm sure you won't, you're welcome to go to our Facebook page, which is Sweet and Thing together, space, and then Black and Orchid together, to take a closer look at it there, or of course you can go to our website, SweetThingBlackOrchid.com. Even though this cake, of course, has so much detail and so many different elements to it, most of the questions arise from the fourth tier here. And let me again zoom in on that. What you may or may not be able to see from this particular picture is there is a great deal of scroll work along with gems on that particular level, all done in silver laid against a white background. So the question is, how do you get those? Do you freehand them? And are the gems edible? And if not, what are they made from? So in order to address that question, we're going to start first with the swirl patterns that you see on the side of the cake. In many cases, of course, we do hand paint them, but this cake, even though it is very whimsical, is highly structural and very detailed. So we wanted everything to be very uniform. So in this case, from our arsenal and our little box of tricks, we actually used stamps, plastic stamps that you can find at any of your local craft stores. And I'm sure you've probably seen this before. You're familiar with it. It comes in a little packet just like that. This particular stamp happens to be called Scroll, and it is number 97634. Should I forget any of the style numbers or anything of the various equipment that we use here today, feel free to give us a little line and we'll give you the details of that more specifically. So again, this is actually 5 little individual presses that you can use to emboss your various crafts, but we left it on the actual paper, plastic sheet that I should say, that it came on, so that we're actually kind of using it. It's functioning for us as an impression mat. So we left them all intact, and we literally just press these into the side of our cake. As you know, when working with fondant, the first few moments after the fondant is draped over the cake are the best time to add your details to it because it's nice and soft, or warm and very pliable. So in this case, again, of course, functioning as the impression mat, we literally just laid this along the sides of the cake, pressed and rubbed it in, lifted it, and moved it around just like you would any other impression mat. What we did try to avoid doing is actually laying this across the top of the cake. A lot of times designers like to have these gorgeous impressions and images all over the tops, the sides, and the bottom of the cake. We refrained from doing that because when you tend to press images over the round or the square top of a cake, they tend to get a little bit distorted and they're not half as clear and or as beautiful as you would want them to be. So again, very quickly, just referring back to the picture here, hopefully you can see it. You'll see where we just literally took those impressions and rounded them about the side of the cake there. Okay, and then once we had the impressions neatly into the side of the cake, we then took a highlighter. Okay, this is a highlighter. Highlighters are often confused with luster dust, petal dust, or the different names that you can have for them. Of course, that's a whole other video in itself. But this is literally a highlighter. A highlighter has a more complete saturated coverage on anything that you're using it for. In this case, we took our highlighter and mixed it in with a little bit of rum or vodka. Of course, try not to get too sauce when we're working out our cake. But you use that, and it works more like a paint. And of course, it is edible, so you have a lot of different options and a lot of different manners in which you can use it. We actually took it with a very fine paintbrush, dipped it into the rum and highlighter solution, and painted it in by hand into the already pressed in scroll work that we had. So we had a very neat, one more time I'll refer back to this picture, kind of a silver. Can you see that? Kind of a silver scroll work then. Okay, this highlighter happens to be number C410. And of course, we got this from, you can get this from any cake supply or candy supply store. We happen to have got this one from Global Sugar Arts, our friends there. They always have great things for us. Gold and or silver works beautifully for any cake, depending on the theme of the wedding or the function, the event that you're using it for. Okay, and as far as what part solution, how this was made, what part highlighter, what part vodka, we literally took about a teaspoon of vodka and or rum. And if you're using vodka and or rum, or either one, you want to make sure that it's clear, not brown, because the brown can indeed stain the fondant or gum paste that you're working with. So we use about a teaspoon of the vodka or rum, and literally just maybe an eighth of a teaspoon of our highlighter, and mixed it in very well. It tends to float up to the top and settle on the top. So each time you go back to use it, you want to make sure that you whisk it back together again and reconstitute it, stir it back in. Okay, and so then the next question, of course, are the gemstones that are on the side of the cake edible? Absolutely. We love to impress here the fact that 95% of our cake in any case is edible. The other 5%, of course, being the supports and the boards that the cake is made on. So in this case, our gems are made from isomalt, and we used our lovely candied mold here. And right now this probably looks like a sheet to you, so I'm going to kind of press it in a little bit closer to the camera here, and you will see that not only are there different sizes from the medium to a smaller size, but there's also different shapes. You've got your rondelles, you've got your emeralds, you've got your even heart-shaped teardrop diamonds, what have you. You girls that love your gems, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So of course we use this, we cast this in isomalt. In this case we cast it clear with no color in it because we wanted it to look more diamond-esque or rhinestone, shall we say. And then of course we place it onto our cake. Now going back to our little impression mat that we made, the cool thing, you can probably see these black circles. Well, the black circles are literally just paint on the image itself so that you can see. They don't obviously come out on your cake black, but they do, of course, press the circles in the various sizes that you see here. You'll see a large to graduated, large to medium to very, very small, going the opposite way, I should say there. So, of course, those were the perfect roadmap for the gems that we're putting on our cake. We literally just chose the size gem based upon the size dot and married them together on the cake. Now, if you know anything about isomalt, you know that it's very, very temperamental. When you touch it or when you apply it, it tends to get a little bit clouded. So to prevent that from happening, number one, we handled them with tweezers whenever we did need to apply them, only around the edges, and we literally painted the back of each one of our rhinestones that we created with that same silver highlighter solution. Okay, we used far less vodka or rum in this case, and more highlighter, just to give the back of the rhinestone a coat, just like you would see if you were actually working with real rhinestones. You know, if you flip them over, you notice they all have a silver backing to them. Okay, and then of course with a little bit of water or glucose, we applied the gems to their corresponding positions on the cake. Now, another little trick that we like to share with everyone when you're using isomalt, when you actually arrive at your destination, the final point where the cake is going to be on display, whether it be a wedding or be an event, we carry with us in our emergency supply kit a little bit of liquid vegetable oil, and not Crisco or not a shortening, but literally a fluid vegetable oil, whether it be peanut oil, extra virgin olive oil, or whatever type, with a very, very small paintbrush. And very, very lightly, we dip our paintbrush into our vegetable oil and give each one of those rhinestones a little glaze over so that they have a beautiful luster and are ready to display and shine like real gems would on any cake. And of course we do that with any color, whether it be a purple gem, a blue gem, or in this case a clear gem. That little shortening little vegetable oil will really give it the perfect sheen that it needs. Okay, so hopefully again that answers all the questions about Once Upon a Time, one of our favorite cakes. And if not, please feel free to give us a line at info@SweetThingBlackOrchid.com or on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page address are the words sweet and thing together, and then space, and then the words black and orchid together. Okay, happy crafting to you all, and we're looking forward to working with you again soon. Take care.